Hello and welcome to Wake and Jake. Myself, David Mendelson. Well, I'm Jake Storielli. That's David Mendelson. Talking some baseball today and football. That's where we're at, people. I wanted to go through the baseball playoff teams in kind of a how good is your good version / kind of an NFL street, kind of a 3x3. I looked at each playoff team with their top 3 starters, their top 3 relievers / other pitchers, and their top 3 position players. I want to see if that exercise got us anywhere. It's an interesting thought process because, sure, baseball is a massive team sport, and the postseason is also filled with moments from players you don't expect, and that's something baseball has that maybe like NBA doesn't have. Like you're going to have a guy or two hit a big shot. But, you know, you're not going to see a lot of 30-point games from, like, nobodies. So I want to see if that exercise gets us anywhere. It shows the differences between a couple teams for me that maybe we already knew, maybe we didn't. And then we'll go through the weekend that is upcoming in football. So for my baseball exercise, I'm starting in the NL, which, if you know me, I normally start in the AL. And I want to start with the team that I feel like has been the number one, and it's a part of this exercise too, the number one, imagine this team in the postseason. There's a couple, but the San Diego Padres. It feels like a couple years now we've talked about their high-end stars, whether starting pitching, whether in the lineup. And they're a good example to start with. And they jumped to my forefront because of their new relief unit, because this is pretty clean for me. Suarez, Tanner Scott, and Jason Adam. They traded for those two guys at the deadline. Scott and Adam, they've been great. Robert Suarez has been really good all year. Jeremiah Estrada had an argument, but this isn't about depth right now. Although I'll link it into some teams. For the rotation, Cease is non-negotiable. I think Joe Musgrove is also non-negotiable. That third spot is Michael King or Yu Darvish, who just came back. And it's been Michael King, and he deserves it. So there are 3 starters. I have Cease, Musgrove, King. So the pitching there, like, they have kind of locked up, and it's why everyone liked their deadline a lot. Because those are 3 high-end relievers that they do that. Those are 3 pretty high-end starters. If you're not as familiar with Mike King as Yankee fans or Padre fans, lock in. He's nasty. And then for San Diego, the part that became funny to me, Manny Machado, I think, is their first player that I felt confident with. 2 ways, the new Mr. Padre home run hitter. Tatis, I still think, has to make the list because he's Fernando Tatis Jr., And then the third spot comes down to Profar, who's been one of the best players this year, but we know a whole other career from him. Luis Ariz, who hasn't struck out since, insert blank here. And then, but he doesn't play defense, or it's my guy Jackson Merrill. And I went Jackson Merrill. We talked some Rookie of the Year stuff on Talking Baseball. The Padre fans got loud. So did the Brewers fan. So does everyone that likes their guy. But Jackson Merrill playing both ways. I think offensively he's fairly close to Profar, or close enough that what he's done defensively in center field, I had him as their 3rd best player. So Padres, the big 3 player-wise, didn't jump off as much as you thought. But think about who I haven't mentioned. I haven't mentioned Xander Bogaerts. Like, the Padres are stacked. But for this 3x3 exercise, they still end up pretty strong. Which brings us to the other team in their division, who the 3 in this lineup we've known all year to be like the biggest 3 we've ever seen. The Dodgers have Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. If this was MLB Street, for those of you that get that reference, you love it. You love me. You're subscribing right now. For those that don't, NFL Street and NBA Street had different versions of the game where you had less players on the team, and you can add players to the team as you go. I'll stop describing the gameplay of a PS2 game that I didn't even own. I would only play it at sleepovers. Anyways, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Hall of Famers. electric, speed, power, contact, all of it, like all three, that they're not going to get beat out there. Pitching-wise, Yamamoto's back, and he's kind of moved into the pole position as he's rehabbing on the fly, but he's looked good. Jack Flaherty, who they traded for, and at the time it was almost like, yeah, do the Dodgers need Jack Flaherty? There were some Yankees rumors. Jack Flaherty in there. And then right now it's Walker Buehler, who his last start was good. Everything else was bad. But it also shows the Dodgers' riches a little bit, because what if it does click for Walker Buehler? Like, remember how good he had been in previous postseasons? So, as a third right now, if you're following ball, you know that's not great. When the graphic comes out, you're probably like, that's okay. And Dodgers bullpen, pretty good. Kopech, who they traded for, that Kopech trade, that one, a lot of teams could use him. Kopech, Trinan, and Phillips. They had a couple other options you could put in their bullpen. I think Daniel Hudson's been really good for them, but Phillips has been their closer. Trinan has the grossest stuff in baseball, arguably. And Kopech is kind of now the new closer there. So they, as you'd expect, the Dodgers, high-end talent, they have a pretty good 3x3. Let's keep it in the West. My Snakes, defending NL champion Snakes. Remember that. Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, and Christian Walker. Did I want to sneak Jock Peterson on this list? Absolutely, because he has been hitting. But he's DH. And against lefty, they platoon him with Grichuk. So, again, that turns into a Diamondbacks depth option. Could have fought for like a Gabby Moreno or even my guy, Eugenio Suarez. But Christian Walker has kind of been the best two-way first baseman when he's been healthy. Ketel Marte has been the best second baseman in all of baseball. And Corbin Carroll, with how good he's been since the All-Star break, sure, I could have made more of a stink for him and Gino, but he's also supposed to be the guy for that team. As much as I love Eugenio Suarez, he hasn't really come up the lineup. That's kind of a Torey Lovello. If you're doing good in your spot in the lineup, we don't like to shake the tree that much. But Corbin Carroll at the top of that lineup and how he's been playing, he gets the nod. It's not as impressive as Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. Even like Machado, Tatis to get punched in the face by those two guys. At the same time, these guys are on that level. They just kind of don't have, I guess, the pedigree, the high-end pedigree. The rotation was tough because it's Zach Gallen, the milkman. Absolutely. Then from there, you could go Brandon Pfaadt, who was the breakout player of last postseason. He just got rocked, and it's funny when you look at Arizona's rotation on paper, and dude, they're going to be a fun October conversation coming up. Merrill Kelly, who's been okay. Jordan Montgomery, who last postseason was amazing. He was the Jordan answer. So I know Monty hasn't been great for them. He's starting today against Colorado. You want to talk about like 3 or 4 big starts being important for Monty. And we've always, as Yankee fans, the thought of Monty coming out of the pen was always scary. Not good scary. Feels like he's a routine guy. The first inning can be tough a lot because he needs to find like his pitches that day. Although, did he come out of the pen for Texas? I don't know. They also have Erod, who they paid money to. So I put their 3 as Gallen, Kelly, and then Monty, just because Monty's coming off of an incredible postseason run. Snakes fans might not be happy with that. Pfaadt has had such a good season. Again, it shows in this exercise, the Snakes, their 3, their 2 isn't as certain as any of the teams we just mentioned. And in their bullpen, I put Martinez, Puck, and Ginkel. They can be really good. And that was a staple for the D-backs run last year, how good their postseason was. I think in this 3x3 exercise, and currently where they're seated in the West, I think they would be the low man, but that's not Snakes baseball. Milwaukee, west to east. I put Contreras, Adames, and Chiriot. It's pretty strong. There's your catcher. There's your shortstop. There's your rookie outfielder that's been balling out. The rotation is funny. Brewers fans, let me know. I have Peralta, Savali, and Montas, which, as of a few months ago, you would have said, wait, what? Joe's would fly. The bullpen, Devin Williams, McGill, Little Sweat, and Joel Piamps. I feel bad. They've had Hudson. They had that other lefty who was going nuts for them. But I think come postseason, like it's Devin Williams, obviously no conversation. I think they really like McGill and Piamps, velo-wise. Again, bullpen is one of Milwaukee's strengths in general as a franchise. But yeah, on paper, it's very Milwaukee. Like Willy Adames from the shortstop position has been great this year. Contreras had kind of his one bad month. Otherwise, he's been great. And Chiriot has been one of the best players of the second half. So definitely on a scale, and this is before like we get to, say, the Phillies, Milwaukee's feels a little light. Milwaukee feels a little closer to Arizona than it does San Diego and LA. But they've operated differently in general. I mean, they can't go out and get Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. That's not how their franchise works. So what their franchise is working with, pretty good. That was the only team in the NL Central. Wah, wah. Sorry, guys. Reds, you let me down. Cubs, you kind of stink. Sorry. I like Ian Happ. I kind of like the Cubs. Philly. This was another one when I got there. I was like, ooh, I was excited. And I was like, who am I going to leave out? Philly, it actually became pretty clear pretty quick. It's Harper, Turner, Schwarber. Obviously, everyone knows the whole Philly team. Castellanos, Baum, Real Muto. But I think Harper, Turner, Schwarber, there's your three. It's Nola, Wheeler, Sanchez in the rotation right now. And this is why if you heard me introducing the exercise, I was like, I threw pitcher out there for the final three names. Because you need three starters, kind of. Don't go look at the Atlanta Braves run from a couple years ago. In that Phillies bullpen right now, it's Estevez, Hoffman, and then I put Ranger Suarez on the list because I know he's been struggling lately. He has pitched playoff games out of the bullpen. He is nasty. He could have been on that starting pitching line with Sanchez. Not sure how they're going to handle that yet. Ranger Suarez is going to be a part of what they do because he was the best pitcher in the NL the first half this season. He has like 31 career postseason innings with a 1 ERA. Like he's going to be in the mix, so I couldn't leave him off the sheet. Which brought us to the final team in the National League. Or excuse me, not the final team. The New York Metropolitans. Currently in, as we record this. And I wanted to see how they stacked up. And they were another important team for this exercise for me because I've been doing like a lot of, Mets in a 3-gamer? Like that's the other appeal of this, right? The wild card series. If you got 3 games with your season on the line, what are you rolling out? It's Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo. I thought there'd be someone on the Mets that would jump out just a little more. And I don't want that to be rude. Like Brandon Nimmo is consistently one of the best outfielders in the NL. I've been a Pete defender this year. But I don't know. I guess there's a Vientos argument. That could he be thrown on this list? Sure. Maybe Mets fans would want to swap that out. But it was also kind of funny, like these have been the Mets 3. Severino, Minaya, Quintana. They've been solid. I think when you do start to look at the other rotations on paper, I think of the National League teams, that might be maybe my bottom. I mean, I guess they're dealing with Milwaukee, but Milwaukee's been built different in kind of a weird way that we don't know what to do with it. I guess I thought the Mets on paper would look a little gnarlier in a tough way. Like, oh, shoot, the Mets. When I put it on paper, I was like, the 9 guys you might be focusing on coming into a playoff series, Lindor's had an amazing year. He's got the back stuff going on now. Pete for Pete hasn't been elite. Put that on a shirt. And then Nimmo's like had some ups and downs this year. Like he's Brandon Nimmo. Where I think some of the other names are a little sexier. I can believe, when I did this, I did not have the Atlanta Braves listed, but the Braves you could probably still do quick enough. It would be Ozuna, Olsen, Michael Harris, Soler. Again, not when the Braves, you think of like Acuna, Austin Riley, and then like Ozzie Albies should have an argument. It's great. Those three are not playing for them. The Braves have been hurt with injury this year, which brings us to the rotation where, was it supposed to be Strider and Reynaldo Lopez? One we believed coming into the season, one we believed as a couple weeks ago. Right now it would be Sale, who's going to be your Cy Young winner, so that's not bad. Max Fried, like that a lot. And then you could put Morton or Schwellenbach. Foolish Bailey told this on our program. I'm going to put Morton. I believe in Ground Chuck. So that rotation still plays, which feels like it hasn't been talked about as the Braves' strength this year. They are third in starting pitcher ERA. Did you know? Dude, the Braves are still a team you don't want to see in the playoffs. I don't know if people realize that yet. I guess they have to make the playoffs. And then in the bullpen, it would be Reisel, Joe Jimenez putting up a big year, and then I guess Pierce Johnson. Maybe if I was being illegal, you could put Schwellenbach back there. I think Pierce Johnson's been fine for them, and they would believe enough. Aaron Bummer. Man, I don't know what to do with the Braves. I think I'm going to stop talking about them because I'm going to talk myself in circles. If they could get one or two guys back, I don't know. And they still have a very good playoff formula. They would just need Matt Olson, Ozuna, Soler, Michael Harris. Like, those guys can be really good. Sean Murphy's become a little bit of an afterthought.
It's a lot of good parts.
Still a lot of good parts. That second half of the lineup. Listed third baseman, Gio DeGod or Shella. Sign me up for that in a playoff series. Obviously a little bias. Whit
Just read that the Yankees were trying to get him before the Braves scooped them up.
Mm-hmm. So that was your
was hurt.
That was your NL layout. I think the takeaways, I was expecting to see a little more from the Mets. Sorry, guys.
Did you say the Mets bullpen?
Oh, I did not say the Mets bullpen. It's Diaz, and then it's Big Sweat, Tyler McGill, and then it's Reed Garrett at this point. So that's where I had to really hunt out the Mets bullpen, and it didn't feel like the starters or the three position players were as strong as some of the other teams they would run into. In the NL, I think the winner of this exercise would probably be Philly or San Diego. Depends how much you believe in the Dodgers lineup, but their rotation question marks are kind of real. I guess their bullpen should be respected as being a little sexier. Like, we kind of have Dodgers fatigue a little bit. Like, what Kopech's been doing is crazy. Trinan's a sicko. And Phillips, was their closer. And now you're looking at him as maybe 6th, 7th inning if you need to get out of a jam. Dodgers obviously have a formula. In the AL, let's hop over. I'll start with my Yankees because I was like, hey, we'll work back east to west. I was like, this will be easy. I know the Yankees well. Judge and Soto. Bing bong. Probably the best 1-2 you could find right now. BBD, I'll let you think on the third for this exercise because it didn't jump out. And I had 4 candidates.
There's candidates. Which
is kind of crazy. And I guess that's where our phrase from Talking Baseball, you guys know your team better than we do. Let us know what I might have missed along the way. Because I think
there's those 4 guys who it's kind of flavor of the week.
I wrote Jazz, Wells, Glaber, and Stanton.
Those are the 4
Glaber
I thought about.
is very new, but I think I'm going to eliminate him for now. But he's been leading off, playing second base.
Yeah. In the NBA street vibe of this, just Glaber loses that.
Yes. But that's where Stanton wins, where I don't
Yes.
know if Stanton should win, but maybe Stanton should win because he's also been great in the postseason. And then it's Wells or Jazz. I think I want to put Stanton. I think for this exercise in his playoff history and just the power factor,
Yeah.
I think he wins.
Yeah. I think my power ranking there would be Stanton, then Jazz, and the other two.
Austin Wells has
Wells
a
has been
great
so
argument.
good.
Clean
So
up,
good.
catching. Cole Rodon heel. That was cleaner than I kind of thought it would be. And then it's Weaver, Canely, Cousins, which I think Yankee fans feel pretty okay with that. But like outside looking in, general baseball fans looking at the bullpen, I think you'd be like, what?
Yeah. Like Canely, not a shock, but the other two, if you just haven't checked into the Yankees this
Like
year.
Canely as a third name, I think anyone would be like, sure.
Coming into the year, you
Seen
know
him.
baseball. You
Seen
think
him
about
in
the
big
Yankees.
games. Yankees bullpen hasn't been an issue. Well, there's the Clay Holmes situation. Yankee fans feel oddly okay with it, but it's a reminder that playoff baseball could make us feel very not okay with it very quickly. Baltimore, this became an interesting third in a couple categories. Gunnar and Santander, I think no argument. It should be Adley Rutschman, right? But is it Cedric Mullins? I think I want to put Mullins for now, but I will ask Baltimore fans to reach out. I mean, you're still going to lean on Adley. But Cedric got moved up in the lineup. He's playing a great center field again. That I think he would be my third as of now. In the rotation, God, this was awesome. It's Burns and Eflin. Couple snaps for them. Zach Eflin, I wasn't impressed with as their deadline ad. Him and Jack Flaherty currently penciled in as their team's two-man. Pretty wild. And then for the third, it's our guy Suarez, who snuck up on us this year, Albert Suarez, or it's Dean Kramer. Kramer's been pitching better. I hate that I can't put Albert Suarez on there. I'll put Dean Kramer for now. And then in the bullpen, it's Sir Anthony Dominguez, Yenier Cano, and I'm putting Craig Kimbrell. I know he got demoted, but Dirty Craig had a really strong year before he did, and he's Craig Kimbrell. Like, you'd rather kind of lose by that guy than maybe a Ciano Perez, and they're different roles. It's lefty-righty. Birds have more bullpen depth than I remembered. And that has a little to do with adding Gregory Soto and Sir Anthony Dominguez. The Phillies just said, nah. That's going to be wild to watch. Those were two impact guys for Philly the past couple postseasons. And they just gave them. Anyways, so Orioles graded out decently in this exercise. Let's see if they get Gray Rod back or anything like that. Cleveland was funny because they actually do pretty fantastic in this exercise because it's Jose Ramirez, who can go toe-to-toe with anyone. It's Stephen Kwan, who two-way can go toe-to-toe with a lot of the league. And then I put Naylor. He's the heart and soul. He's the power bat. He's in the middle of the lineup. If you wanted to make Jimenez arguments, I don't know. You need a lot of big plays from second base that day, and maybe he will. The rotation was hilarious. It's the first time I'll put a question mark. I put Bybee, Boyd, and question mark. Cobb got hurt. They've got Gavin Williams and some other young guys, like Joey Cantillo throwing himself in the mix late. I'd rather just put question mark. Our guy Ben Lively, you might see a bullpen day out of them. / you'll see one of those starters with as short of a leash. But where they win is bullpen. And it's Class A, it's Gaddis and Smith. For those not familiar with Cade Smith, he's kind of outpitched Mason Miller to be the best reliever in baseball this year, or best rookie reliever. Class A has been the best reliever in baseball, and Hunter Gaddis is electric. So Cleveland, although the biggest literal question mark in their rotation, they probably have the best bullpen, and their big three can dance with you. J-Ram's top 5 MVP every year. Quan is great both ways. And Naylor, that guy gets the sauce in a playoff series, and you do not want to see him at the plate. So the Guardians actually came out from this better than expected, where I think Milwaukee kind of landed where I thought. And we lump Midwest teams together because we're coastal elitists. Minnesota! You want to rack your brain for a while. Knock yourself out. They actually do well on the big three, but their big three never play. It's Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa, and Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton almost ended up on our all underrated team, which the people would not have liked, but statistically, it's insane. Correa just came back. Remember when he went nut job this year? He's been out for a while. He's back. He's talk about two-way. And Royce Lewis, he's like the new guy. But all three of these guys have just crazy injury history, and somehow the Twins have still won throughout the year. They're like, I couldn't put Carlos Santana on this list. Maybe I don't put Carlos Santana on any of my lists. Maybe that's a me thing.
Just not a Santana on lists guy.
It's tough. So that was a weird three to put down as your best three players when it's like I haven't seen most of them for a half a season. But the Twins still might be at the dance. They might blow it.
It's probably like how many games have all three of them played together number that's out there.
That would be a talking baseball numby stat. Pablo Lopez has bounced back. Still a great guy to have in your rotation. Bailey Ober, the Nightmare, has put together a good season. I put SWR, Simeon Woods Richardson. They are their third starter. Probably not where they'd like it to be. The top two are fine. Ober, I don't know. And then Duran, Griffin Jax has been really good this year. And I put Cole Sands, Twins fans, if you want to roast me for that. Loses some sex appeal after those first two. The Kansas City Royals. This one I got excited for. Because I was like, ooh, Royals up. Right? Like, this should be a great one for the Royals. Unfortunately, Vinny Pasquantino getting hurt really hurts because it's Witt, Salvi, and then the people fighting to be the third best player on the Royals right now. Tommy Pham, who the Cardinals just let go. You're free to leave. That's the door. I know there's some Tommy Pham asterisks there, but I put Michael Massey, the young second baseman with a nice swing. Otherwise, we're looking at like Michael Franco, or Garcia, excuse me. I always do that. He's been like a net negative for them at chunks of the season. It was pretty nuts. For how much this year we've talked about like top of the Royals lineup, they really got some up there with Pasquantino out.
How much it changed this exercise?
It's bizarre. It's the NBA Jam team. You're like, oh. Rotation, they do great. Lugo, Reagan, Singer. Yes, yes, yes. You could swap Michael Wacha. You could swipe Michael Wacha in. But we need him or one of them in the bullpen because it's Lucas Erceg, Wacha. I just put question marks again. Royals fans, I feel like we just did this a recent episode ago. I mean, if we just need I would literally put a question mark in the graphic again. Is it Chris Bubich who's been pitching well for them? John Schreiber? Put Schreiber in there. I can believe in him for a postseason inning. But yeah, they were a tough one for me. I've kind of been drinking the Royals Kool-Aid and seeing that it's tough to get them a third hitter. It's tough to get them a second true bullpen guy. Compare that to go back to the Padres. Jeremiah Estrada didn't make their top 3 bullpen guys. He had a scoreless streak this year. 14 innings. That was a tough central head turn for me. Detroit, I listed it out, but let's not put it on there. Although they had the same problems. It's Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, and then I put Parker Meadows, who's had a good couple weeks. The rotation is even worse. It's Skubal, Kiter Montero, who's had 2 good starts. And then I put Brant Herter just because we joked about him on the show. But that got thin. They do have a bullpen. I put Foley, Holton, and Vest, but Detroit. A lot of the Centrals, not great for this exercise. Out west, the Houston Astros, and I did have a head tilt. I put Altuve, Yordan, and then Tucker, which leaves Bregman off the list, which, think about that. Like, the only team that we've really had to fight for players left off the list in a true way was, like, San Diego. So just a reminder what Houston has going on. Rotation, I put Framber, Blanco, and Kikuchi for now. That leaves off Justin Verlander, Hunter Brown, Spencer Arrighetti. In their bullpen, this was a great reminder that they were built for this. Hader, Abreu, Presley. Again, this is with Verlander off the list. This is with Arrighetti off the list. This is with whoever else you want. Houston did very well in this exercise. Reminder that there's going to be a lot of talk about them come this October. And then a fun one for me to finish it off. The Seattle Mariners. You guys are out, right? Or are they? 2 games back of Minnesota as I record this. And they do okay because it's... they don't do okay. They do okay. It's Julio, Cal Raleigh, and I put Randy. Randy Arozarena, especially come postseason in our NBA Jam version of this. Sure. I also wanted to put my new king, Victor Robles, in there, but we'll keep him out for this exercise. And then they're going to do great the rest of the way because it's Kirby, Gilbert. I put Castillo in there because I think he's trying to come back from the hammy. And then in the bullpen, I put Munoz, Miller, and Wu. Let's throw them out there. Screw it, right? Like, I know they like what they do in their bullpen. The other names, by the way, didn't jump out. Colin Schneider got a shout-out last Talking Baseball. I think they'd rather go to Wu or Miller if it was a playoff series. Seattle did better in this exercise than I thought they would. And it's a reminder, if they sneak in the postseason, and it's kind of the whole thing, you don't want to see those cats. I know what Randy does come October. Julio's been playing a lot better. Big Dumper? Captain Clutch. This exercise, maybe it brought you some new opinions. Crazy. I guess things I really liked. How much Houston jumped off the board, and it was like, oh shit. The thinness of Kansas City losing Pasquantino. The question mark that is Minnesota. Like, in a way, they deserve snaps for having a good year while missing out on their 3 best players a lot. But no one knows what to do with that franchise. And then it was just cool to see how strong... Dude, the NL West. I know it got talked about a lot early as we're figuring out this season, but love the Snakes, love the Dodgers, love the Padres. And one of, if not 2 of those teams is going to be out quick. So with that, I'm going to speed run through the NFL weekend for you. We got a busy day. You've seen the haircut. You've seen the mock turtleneck. What are they up to at John Boy Media? We're up to watching football this weekend. Jets, Patriots at MetLife. We're all going to watch because it's football, but I don't really want to watch. It would be massive for the Jets to win this football game. To be 2-1 with Rodgers and, like, healthy and beat the Patriots, who have been, like, your biggest bugaboo. I'm not saying I believe. They haven't unjetsied me yet. If they win this, they could kind of unjetsy. Let's see it. On Sunday, no funny business game. No London game yet. Week 5, you know I'm excited. New York, the Giants and the Browns, no thank you. The Browns are going to end up being 2-1. Insane. Green Bay at Tennessee. No, thank you. Be honest. Let's see if Will Levis cannot have horrible turnovers. Bears at Colts. Kind of no thank you. Anthony Richardson needs a bounce back in a big way. It's going to be, man, the 0-2 Colts. It doesn't feel like they should be that. While the Bears don't feel like they should be 1-1. I might take some Colts juice in that game. They're only -1.5. Run Jonathan Taylor every play. Houston at Minnesota. A sneaky yes. Give me that. Let's see what Sam Darnold and the boys up to. Do they have more to build on there? They host Houston. They just beat San Francisco in that building. Houston did not look pretty last week. They are 2-0. The Minnesota Vikings are 2-0. One of these teams is going to be 3-0. And the Vikes have a shot to do it at home. Houston a favorite. What does Vegas know? They know that Houston's really good. Although I didn't love what I saw against the Bears. I might fade the fade on that one. New Orleans hosting Philly. Hello. I will watch that. Let's see. Everyone's drinking the Saints Kool-Aid. Philly has to feel miserable after that loss. Saquon. / you can't call that play. Sorry, Sirianni. I like what Philly sports fans are about. I'm not a Sirianni guy, which is weird because I'm Italian, I guess. I don't know. I'm not into the Sirianni Big Dom thing at all. And I like Philly. Kind of don't have the heart to tell Shelfie this. No need. Don't listen, Shelfie. Subscribe. But yeah, New Orleans getting all the flowers in the world. Philadelphia in a fight or flight game. I think Philly figures it out. They should have won last night's game easily. But maybe Sirianni's actually a problem. Pittsburgh hosts the Chargers. Oh, what a coach off. Tomlin versus Harbaugh. Watch for the handshake. Watch for the defensive play that wins the game. Pittsburgh -2. For their shot to go 2-0, 3-0. One of those teams is going to be 3-0. NFL, man. Vegas at Carolina, no thank you, but I'm in on what Vegas is doing. Carolina benches Bryce Young. Brutal. Max Crosby is going to eat Andy Dalton. Go Raiders. Seattle hosts Miami. That's fun because Seattle's the perfect Miami team, right? Seattle's like a 500 team. So does Miami roll them and they're good this year, or does Miami lose because Seattle's decent? Kind of not going to care. But this is in the 4 p.m. slate. Wow. So the 1 p.m. slate, give me the Tomlin Harbaugh coach off. Absolutely. And New Orleans at Philly. That's fun. 4 p.m., Miami, Seattle, sure. Baltimore at Dallas. Dallas just got pooped on. So did Baltimore. The Ravens are 0-2. Lamar's Ravens and another Harbaugh to go 0-3 at the hand of the Cowboys. You're going to see boys fighting in that one. Ravens O-line, I think, is bad. That's why Pennick picked the Raiders to upset them. Dallas can get after it in the right conditions. Holy smokes. There's going to be an angry fan base. Same with San Francisco and the Rams. The Rams trying to bounce back after getting just destroyed by Arizona. Nobody really talked about that. And this is Shanahan. We looked up these numbers. Shanahan's now 9-4 against McVay. Everything would tell you the Niners would bounce back, but it's no McCaffrey, no Debo. Man, this is a fun week 3. I'm glad I did this. We're going to get jazzy on them. As Detroit heads to Arizona, the two teams that have beaten the Rams, Arizona's played 2 good games. Arizona was a 1-score game against Buffalo. And remember, they kind of had that game and they blew it. And then they blew out the Rams. They host Detroit. Detroit's going to be hungry. Oh, buckle up. I'm in. And it all ends with Kirky Jerky. Sunday Night Football. Kirk and the Falcons coming off their big win. Host Kansas City. That place will be rocking, man. Kirk just won over a full city with that final drive. I don't know. It's Mahomes until it's not. Oh, actually, for anyone with Falcons hope, wow, 2 Monday night games. Bills, Jags, Cincy, Washington. Burps into the mic. We'll get to that next Monday. I believe in storylines. A storyline that I did not know that's happening as the Kansas City Chiefs go for a three-peat. Kansas City, 8-game win streak. I think that's going to become more of a thing. I think that win streak's going to get to double digits. It's going to be part of the storyline this year. The Chiefs going for a three-peat, which no NFL team has done. The Chiefs, Kelsey and Taylor, Mahomes the best ever. Jason Kelsey can't get off the broadcast. I think Chiefs win streak becomes a big story. I think that's going to be a part of this season. So I don't know when it gets real. Maybe it's all wrong. They've got at Falcons, Chargers, Saints, Niners game. I think we're going to see. Put it down in the memory book that we might have to clip the end of this episode at one point. I think the Chiefs win streak starts heading to the 12-14 range and starts becoming a real storyline of this season. With that, make sure you're subscribed and make sure Uncle Dan tells you this.
Wake and Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.
Yeah!